I'm Dr. Jim Partington, and I've been working in the field of behavior analysis for over 40 years. And today I'd like to talk about some issues regarding autism treatment and try to put a little emphasis on what is effective treatment for individuals with autism. In working in the field, there's been so much that's gone on in terms of people now trying to meet that demand for these high numbers of individuals with autism. We have such a great number of them that there's a need for trained individuals to come in and provide what we know to be the most effective services for children with autism, which is applied behavior analysis teaching strategies. I want to point out that, again, the term ABA, which stands for Applied Behavior Analysis, is often misunderstood by families. They've heard that ABA services are what they need to get. Unfortunately, they don't often know what that means, and it means the application of behavior analytic principles to teaching strategies. In the case of individuals with autism, that is. Actually, the field of applied behavior analysis is much more than just working with children with autism. However, it is the most effective treatment for individuals with autism when it's done correctly. And I think that's a very important point, because there are now a lot of people out there who have been trained minimally to learn about the application of behavior analytic teaching methods, but don't have a wide range of knowledge in the area of counseling that may often be necessary, working with teachers within an educational environment, and even perhaps dealing with some of the family issues that may be going on that may be interfering with the effectiveness of treatment, and how to get the parents, teachers, and staff all working together to provide an effective treatment for these children. Years ago, I used to give workshops around the United States and sometimes in Canada and or Europe, and it was interesting because what would happen was people would attend my workshop, and then I'd find out years later that people were going around telling others that I had trained them in methods for working with children with autism. Well, quite frankly, I didn't even know who those people were. Certainly people who had just attended a 2-day workshop from me were not trained as behavior analysts. They need a lot more training than that. But yet they were able to go out and say they were a behavior analyst and start working with children, even though they were minimally trained or hardly trained at all. I would say not trained. I'd like to speak a little bit about behavior analysis and autism treatment. Prior to an article coming out by Dr. Ivar Lovaas from UCLA in 1987, if a parent had a child diagnosed with autism spectrum disorder, or autism as they called it at the time, basically the pediatrician or psychologist who gave the parent the news would often say basically that there was not much of a future for this individual, that you could pretty much expect that they were going to be institutionalized, they'd never get married, they'd never hold a job, and may never talk, and so forth. It was all pretty negative. But in 1987, Dr. Ivar Lovaas published a study. The students that he worked with intensively, 40 hours a week, one-to-one intervention, if they started early enough, that 47% of those kids could actually make it to regular education and participate in regular education programming. Well, that was quite remarkable. When people started seeing that, they said, wow, this is hope, basically. It's hope for parents that maybe their child could be one of those 47%. However, there's been many developments in the field of behavior analysis that have occurred since that first study, showing the effectiveness of ABA programming, if you will, for individuals with autism. The area that I've been working in, which is often referred to as verbal behavior. And verbal behavior is the use of a behavior analysis of expressive language to take a look at the functions of how we communicate in what we might call the expressive realm. We talk about receptive language, people understanding what others are saying to them, and expressive language, using language to talk to others, to communicate, express our needs and wants, and share experiences with them. When talking about autism spectrum disorders, again, you're looking at individuals with language delay, social interaction, difficulties, and other types of behaviors which are considered to be abnormal. Okay? But if you start to look at it closely, the language delays play a critical role in social skills development. If you can't communicate with others, you're going to have a very difficult time engaging in appropriate social interactions with them. Furthermore, if you're not engaging in social interactions with others, you're probably going to find some other ways to entertain yourself, and that might be in some form of what other people might consider to be some inappropriate or unusual types of behaviors. So as a physician friend of mine once said, when it comes to autism treatment, you need to hit the problem head on, and head on is the language. You start there. Start there, along with the motivation for the child to want to socially interact with you in the first place. And that's why I've always said, you've got to teach language skills, but you also have to make sure that your teaching methodology results in the children wanting to interact with you. One of my catchphrases that I often use is, you want the children to run to you, not from you. So if you're using teaching methods which are not resulting in the child wanting to interact with you, you're doing something wrong as far as treatment is concerned. So again, it's a combination of teaching the expressive language and taking a look at the motivation, which now differentiates some of the treatment which is currently being done, called the verbal behavior methodology, as opposed to more traditional ABA types of services. Now, in the community, there are many people, again, who may be implementing some of the methodology that's been around for many years and is, somewhat effective, may not know about verbal behavior methodology. And then there's other people who say that they're implementing verbal behavior methodology, and I'd look at it and I'd say that's not at all what I would consider about how to treat a child anyhow. So just because somebody says they're doing something doesn't mean they know what they're doing, okay? Let's hope that they do, though. I always hope that when a parent finds a practitioner, that they spend some time looking into the background of the person who's doing the work. Have they worked in this field for a long time? Are they fairly new? Maybe they're fairly new, but they're going to be wonderful, okay? But they may not be. They may have a lot to learn. And if there is a qualified professional out there, the parents want to get to the most qualified professional they can, just like you would in any other situation where you need help. And so that's where I often encourage parents to look into the backgrounds of the people who are saying they're providing services and they say they're trained, and actually find out, where did they get their training? How much experience did they have? Who did they work with? Who trained them? And how have they been in terms of success, in terms of working with individuals? ARN has some very competent individuals who are running their programs and who are implementing their programs. And they've been doing it for a long time, and I feel they're doing a very effective job in their work. And on top of that, though, I think it's not just the technical aspects of what they're doing, but it's also, they're a group of caring individuals who really enjoy the children, enjoy working with the children, and who really get a great deal of satisfaction out of watching the children develop their skills. And I will say this, that many of the staff who have been working there have had ongoing training and supervision by me for now, some of them as many as 10, 11 years. And they are highly competent in what they're doing. And they are highly competent in supervising and training the staff that work under them.